In this video, I'll be helping you with the ALEKS problem type called differentiating between parameters and statistics. In this example, we're given quite a bit of information. We're told that Kira, a nurse manager at a local hospital, wanted to know more about the hospital's full-time nurses. She polled 12 nurses at random who work full-time at the hospital. The findings of the poll were that these nurses take, on average, 5.5 sick days per year, that 50% of them would prefer a 4-day work schedule, and that 8 of them are married. And then we're told that Kira didn't know that the top hospital administrators had already surveyed all nurses who work full-time at the hospital. In that survey, it was found that nurses take, on average, 5.7 sick days per year, 61% would prefer a 4-day work schedule, and that 77 of them are married. And we have a couple of questions here about this situation. In part A, we're asked to identify the population and the sample in this situation. And we'll start by recalling that the population is all of the objects being studied, while the sample is a smaller collection of those objects. And from this situation, we know that Kira wanted to know more about the hospital's full-time nurses. So she wants to know about all of the full-time nurses. So if the population is all of the objects being studied, then the population would be all of the full-time nurses at this hospital. And then we know that the sample is a smaller collection of those objects from the population, and we were told that Kira polled 12 nurses at random. So those 12 randomly chosen nurses would be the sample. And then in part B, we're given several of the values that were cited in this example and asked if each of these is either a parameter or a statistic. And keeping in mind that a parameter is a measurement taken of a population and a statistic is a measurement taken from a sample, we recall that from Kira's sample of 12 nurses, her measurements were 5.5 sick days per year, 50% would prefer a 4-day work week, and 8 are married. These would be statistics, because they are measurements taken from that sample, whereas when the hospitals surveyed all of the nurses who work full-time, their measurements were 5.7 sick days, 61% preferring a 4-day work schedule, and 77 were married. And since the hospital administrators had access to all of the full-time nurses, these are parameters. So our first number that we're asked about is the 77 nurses who are married. That comes from the entire population, which is a parameter. Next, we're asked about the 50% of randomly chosen nurses who prefer the 4-day work schedule. And we're even told in the description that these are from the randomly chosen nurses in the sample. So this would be a statistic. And then lastly, we're asked about the average 5.7 sick days taken from all of the full-time nurses. And again, taken here from the entire population, this is a parameter.